Hey everybody, this is you-know-who, Greg, aka Crazy G with NECR New England Concert Reviews, and guess where I'm at? Yep, back at it once again, as always, same stuff, different day, and today we have a very special guest. I personally want to welcome him right now. It is none other than the vocalist Thunderwood from the band 9ELECTRIC. Hello, welcome, and thanks for hitting us up here at NECR. What's up in the world of Thunderwood?
Shit, I'm drinking bottled water.
Ah, that's a good thing, no?
We're just about to load into the world-famous machine shop in Flint, Michigan, and it looks like it's going to be a good night. Actually, it looks like shit out here, but it's pretty gloomy. It's pretty gloomy, but it's always a guaranteed good show here at the machine shop. The crew, the shows, they do it right here, man.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about that place. I've done a lot of interviews with other artists that have been there too, and nothing but great raves about that place. 9ELECTRIC has basically shot onto the scene not very long ago. Can you just give us a brief account of the band's history?
Yeah, well, we kind of started out on the Sunset Strip scene. You know, we're all based out of Hollywood. We would throw these like Metal Monday shows and then throw these huge after parties. So that's kind of how we got a little bit of a name for ourselves in LA. And we were coming up around the same time, or a little bit behind, like Gemini Syndrome and Butcher Babies and these other LA bands that ironically now are all on the same label as us. And there was kind of, this was about like 5-6 years ago, there was like a scene just kind of exploding on the Strip again. So it was really cool to be a part of that. But then, as nature would have it, all these bands kind of grew up a little bigger than just the Strip and had to go out and tour. So I hope other bands start coming up on the Sunset Strip again. We got to keep that thing alive, you know?
Right. It almost seems like it, I don't want to say has died down, but it, calmed down quite a bit, especially after, like you said, some of the bands have had to go out on tour. But 9ELECTRIC has just come out with a new CD itself called Damaged Ones. What can you tell us about that CD, making of it?
Well, our drummer, Micah, is also like a really good producer and engineer. So we recorded most of it, almost all of it, either in our own studio or like our rehearsal studio or on the road, literally in our RV. And then we teamed up with Kane Churko, who's done like In This Moment, Five Finger Death Punch, some Aussie tracks. He's like this whiz kid from Las Vegas, and he kind of did the final touches on the album and mixed it, and we're just really happy with how it turned out. It's just like hard hitting, trimmed out all the fat, and it slams.
Yeah, definitely, man. And it shows the self-titled track, the Damaged Ones, gives you a shock right to the system, right at the get-go. What was the band's actual idea for this song from the beginning?
Well, it actually, here's a funny story. Actually, Casey, the bass player, he brought the song to us, just really roughly recorded with his phone or something like that, and he was on an acoustic guitar, and he's like 6'6", and he broke his throat in college basketball, so he can't sing over like a certain high note, you know what I mean? Which is, so basically, imagine a demo tape being played by Lurch. So I guess I had to use a lot of imagination, but I heard the movement of the chords, I heard the cadence of the vocals and the rhythm, and actually the production that we have now is really pretty close to what I had envisioned would work for that song. And the other guys were kind of like, freaked out by the Lurch vocals and things like that, and they were like, no, I'm not feeling that song, I don't know. It kind of held my attention, like it wouldn't go away. I was finally like, I think we need to produce this a little bit and, just do something different with it. But yeah, so we basically recorded a demo and sent that to Kane Churko, and he mixed it, and that ended up being like the album version. So we didn't even like retrack a bunch of it like we thought we were going to. It turned out awesome.
Yeah, it did. It totally blown away by the story of it now. That's cool. And
Lurch vocals. You know what? We should probably put that one out someday as the special. No, I'm sure Casey never wants that coming out.
And it's a very interesting story for the song itself. Sorry to hear that he had that problem, man. That must have sucked.
Well, he has a pretty good sense of humor about it.
Well, that's cool. New God is a perfect example of techno meets metal. What is the story behind that track?
Actually, that's kind of a weird one too. That came about not as is just a normal, let's get this song down. We actually were asked to write some music for a movie. The movie was, the working title was Skate God, and it was going to have like all these pro skaters in it and all this stuff. It was some dystopian future, like sci-fi movie. Anyway, so we were asked to write some music for it, and the production of the movie kept getting pushed back, and it came time to finalize this album, and we were like, do we hold off and wait for this movie to finally come to, to happen? Or it was basically down to the wire, and we decided just to release it on the album instead. And then we did like a live video at a show. The kickoff of the album, that was kind of like the first video content that we had.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about that because the video is pretty intense, and I was going to ask, what was it like putting that together?
Well, that was just basically a friend of ours brought a bunch of GoPros, and we brought our GoPros, and we had a few friends in the audience shooting. It was just a show at a place in Hollywood that was closing down. It was kind of a popular hangout, and so as a farewell show, we decided to throw a show there and just shoot the show. And so it was basically me going through a buttload of footage because we had so many cameras running, and just taking my favorite moments out, slapping it together for that song.
Nice. Very nice. Another insatiable track that I really like is Toxic Angel. What was it like putting that song together?
That one was actually, that came out of a session that Mike, our drummer / producer man in the band, he actually had a meeting with producer Kane Churko before we had actually officially started working together. And that song is what those two came up with writing-wise from their just earliest getting together. So it was definitely foretelling of what was to come with our album and things like that, because we thought it was a really slick track, a really well put together, and a cool different side of us, something that we hadn't really explored yet.
The whole CD, I mean, I talk to a lot of artists. Every CD I listen to, and especially this one, you just have so much versatility on it. Every song is different, and it tells its own story, and the way it's put together and the way you guys do it is just, it's pretty amazing. I briefly wanted to touch on you and the band's musical influences. I wanted to know who some of them are, and I think there's one, and correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't I see somewhere 9ELECTRIC was inspired by Wayne Static and Static X?
We actually, on our first EP, we recorded a song that Wayne Static sang on, and then not too long after that, we went on tour with Static X. So yeah, I mean, there was definitely the Wayne Static and Static X influence. We listen to so much music, like all four of us, like between all of us, we'll pop on a Slayer track and then we'll pop on the Bee Gees. It's just a matter of, I'm a fan of songs, and I could hate a certain band's entire catalog, but like one song, and I'll be a fan of that band, because they created something that is a part of my life, or something that, it's an enhancement in your life. We're all over the place, man.
That's totally cool. You have to be, and I like the Slayer to Bee Gees scale there.
Obviously, we've chosen to be in like a hard rock band for a reason. I think it's because as individuals, the performance and the intensity can only really be realized in that kind of a scenario. As much as I love electronic music or classical music, that wouldn't be my favorite stuff to perform. It's a different thing that's going on, and it's like a personal challenge. I feel like being in a hard rock band with only 3 other guys up there with me is the most gnarly challenge I can ever take.
And you're right, though, because even somebody as, old school as the Bee Gees, they impact you in one way or another. I'm not saying that the whole song is devoted to the Bee Gees, but they do. They impact you as who you are as an artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And they do something that's absolutely theirs, and they do it at the impossibly high level that they do, and you can't rip on it. You can rip on it for what it is, or you know what I mean?
Right.
You can make fun of anything if you want, but it's done so well and with a certain sense of honesty. You go, those guys are the shit.
And listen, and that's part of, I think, what makes you and the band 9ELECTRIC, because 9ELECTRIC seems to blend so many sounds almost perfectly. It has to be highly difficult in many aspects. I gotta ask, does the final product come out exactly how you want it? And what's it like hearing that final product, whether it's spot on or whether it's off a little bit?
Yeah, well, I think because of the scope of influences that we have, there's a lot of surprises during the production process, which I think is good, because it didn't have any of those surprises, then I don't think it would be as fun. And you wouldn't learn as much. You would just be standing there going, I can do whatever I want. And I feel like you would lose a certain sense of direction. I don't know. I feel like you would lose a certain sense of inspiration. It's the same reason why I choose as an artist to work with other people who don't think like I think, because I want those surprises. I want to be challenged, you know? So, yeah, I mean, when stuff doesn't turn out exactly the way you want it, obviously, if you fall short of something, or if the essence of the idea is lost by the time you get to that final thing, then you probably do need to change a few things or fix whatever it is that might need to be fixed. But usually, you know, with all of our input, and we all kind of put our 2 cents in at the end of the day, that filtration, I believe, makes a song stronger. At least with us involved, I feel like we all allow it to find its own balance. And that's, you know, per song. You know what? It's even like per section of a song. It just depends on the situation.
And that makes perfect sense. I mean, I just don't know how you guys get some of the sounds you do and just blend it so well. It's got to be more challenging than, I want to say, a typical, you know, lead, rhythm, bass, percussion type band.
For sure. When you have the electronic aspects or samples, or, you know, just even down to like changing drum tones, I feel in a way, if we were just like a 4-piece like Led Zeppelin presentation, which a lot of bands still are, I feel like that is almost a more difficult challenge to come up with something original than to at least broaden your palette of sounds. You know what I mean? I think when you broaden the palette and then you let those mix together, then you can come up with a new combination, a brand new combination of something that's never been done before, but not have to reinvent any one of those specific things. You know what I mean?
You guys, again, you have your own sound, and it's likable. You capture something that many rarely do. 9ELECTRIC is out on tour right now with Drowning Pool, Gemini Syndrome, and Red Tide Rising on the Not So Silent tour. What can you tell us about this tour, and especially your upcoming Northeast shows in New York, Lawrence, Mass., and Stafford Springs, Connecticut?
It's going to be insane. I mean, this tour, we're just ending the first week of this tour, and it's been packed houses, and it's been just insane shows. And I don't think there's any sign that it's going to change. Actually, Casey, our bass player, and we met each other about 10 years ago on tour with Drowning Pool when we were in our former bands. And I was curious, you know, you're always curious when you haven't seen a band live for a long time, quote, if they still have it. Well, Drowning Pool totally still has it, and I forgot how awesome they were. You know what I mean? I'm just amazed still every night how they're able to bring it so hard, and it's really similar to what we do in the intensity. Like, you know, they do heavy music, but it's really fun. The show is fun, and it's engaging. Yeah, this tour has been awesome.
I mean, I know you've only been into a week of it so far. Anything interesting happened yet so far?
Anything that I can legally talk about?
Yeah, right.
It's been, I'm trying to think, any noteworthy, maybe we'll get back to that one.
All right, no problem.
It is pretty early on. We're just now getting our rhythm. Can't think of anything totally outlandish that's been going on, but some dude tried to kiss our drummer yesterday. The day before.
Well, hey, that's not bad. That
was
cool.
Outlandish.
We were talking about Wayne Static and Static X. Who are some of your other musical influences, and what do you take from them?
Well, let's see. Some of my earliest memories was my parents playing a lot of new wave music, and I remember just appreciating how loud the drums were on the tracks. As simple as the drum tracks usually were in new wave, I just loved that they slammed. You know what I mean? It was danceable, but it was still songs. It wasn't just house music. It wasn't just fully repetitive. You know, it had verse, chorus, yada yada yada, but it still just had these slamming drums. So I remember as a little kid loving that. You know, the 80s, the big boomy drums. And then I don't know, by the time the 90s came around, it was all about guitars. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like in the 90s, the 70s came back, and you had all these guitar heroes, but they were doing something different. They weren't just doing pentatonic scales. They were like messing with feedback and weird tones, stuff like that. Like Billy Corgan's Siamese Dream, Smashing Pumpkins was a big freaking deal for me, because it was sounds we'd never heard before, you know? 20 guitars playing the same unison thing, but all in like weird different tones stacked up, and it just made this new thing, and it just blew my mind. That's one of the reasons I was like, I need a guitar now, you know? I went and got a job and saved up, rollerbladed to work, and saved up, and I lived in the middle of nowhere, so there was not even a music store for me to shop for for that stuff, I had to go order it from like musician's friend and like, you know, wait 3 months and have it shipped me and crap. And I had no one to jam with even. So I got like a 4-track recorder. Eventually I got a bass and a drum machine. I just started like writing my own stuff by myself, you know, big guitar rock, but yet like having like the electronic beat loops since I had a drum machine. So I guess through necessity I started getting more and more into electronic music because I just didn't have a drummer to jam with early on. You know what I mean?
Very nice.
Yes, it all makes sense now. I would appreciate all this, those weird mixes that come together.
It's funny though, too, you know?
I never thought of that.
Yeah, exactly.
You're helping me remember, bro.
Yeah, very cool. No, and that's what it's about. Other than the band's current status, is there anything else on the horizon for 9ELECTRIC we might not know about that you could possibly share with us?
I don't have any details, but 2017 is going to be a lot of touring, and I'm sure it's going to be some big name tours that we'll be on, and I'm just really excited. Like, this album cycle is still just brand new. We're just in the infant stage of it all, and the reaction, the word on the street, the buzz is really good. Radio is eating it up, and that's a really good telltale for what's to come in 2017.
I definitely am looking forward to it. I like what I heard and what I was listening to. Something different, comparisons. I don't want to say you're anything like Static X. I kind of get the impression that you've been inspired by them.
Yeah, for sure.
You have a sound that is different. It hits home. I like it. I grooved on every single track that I listened to. And
awesome.
And that's what it's about, man. It's about getting into it and enjoying it no matter what it is. And you guys, you enjoy what you do, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, it shows in your work. I just want to take the time right now to say thank you. Thunderwood, vocalist for the band 9ELECTRIC. I wish you the best. I wish you the best with this upcoming tour cycle, the Damaged Ones. I'm looking forward to hearing a lot more of you guys.
Thanks so much, Greg. As new cool stuff comes up, I'd love to yap at you again, man.
Most definitely check out some of your stuff in the future. Again, I want to wish you the best, Thunderwood. Thank you again from NECR New England Concert Reviews. Good luck, ladies and gentlemen. Vocalist Thunderwood, 9ELECTRIC. Check them out. Got a website?
9electric.com.
Perfect. I thank you again. I wish you the best and keep on rocking, man. You guys putting out some amazing stuff. Keep it up.
Thanks so much, Greg. I'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right. Peace. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Thunderwood, vocalist for the band 9ELECTRIC. They have some amazing stuff. Check it out. 9electric.com. Check out their new CD, The Damaged Ones. They're on tour right now. Drowning Pool, Gemini Syndrome, and Red Tide Rising on the Not So Silent tour. I am Greg, a.k.a. Crazy G, for NECR New England Concert Reviews. Have a good one. I'll be back later.